A poor girl used the car window as a mirror to adjust her bra, and the criminal millionaire falls in love. Hey there, I'm Alex, your guide through today's extraordinary tale on Hearts of Crime. What you're about to witness is a story of passion and danger that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Trust me, when I say the twist at the end will leave you absolutely speechless. If you enjoy these forbidden love stories, please hit that like button and drop a comment below sharing your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our daily uploads of these incredible stories. Stay with me until the very end. I promise the conclusion will shock you in ways you can't imagine. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode. Have a wonderful day, and may God bless you and your family. The silver Bentley crept through downtown's dilapidated streets, a shark swimming through murky waters. Inside, Patrick Thornfield scrolled through encrypted messages on his phone, barely registering the urban decay beyond the tinted windows. Another successful transaction, another million laundered through his vast network of shell companies, another day as one of the city's wealthiest men and one of its most dangerous criminals. His driver navigated through the morning traffic, stopping at a red light in front of a rundown apartment complex. Patrick didn't look up until a flash of movement caught his eye. There she was. A young woman stood on the sidewalk, rummaging through a tattered handbag. Dressed in faded jeans and a simple white blouse, she had the harried look of someone perpetually running late. What caught Patrick's attention wasn't her clothes or even her striking features. It was what she did next. Looking around and finding no suitable mirror, she approached his car, unaware anyone sat inside behind the dark windows. She leaned forward, using the glossy black surface as a makeshift mirror to adjust her bra strap and tuck loose strands of caramel-colored hair behind her ears. For the first time in years, Patrick Thornfield was speechless. She was beautiful in a way that wasn't manufactured or maintained by expensive treatments. Her beauty was unrefined, natural, almost defiant. When she smiled at her reflection, seemingly satisfied with her quick adjustments, something long dormant stirred within him. The light turned green. His driver cleared his throat. "Wait," Patrick commanded, his voice rougher than intended. He lowered the window. The woman jumped back, eyes widening when she saw him. "I'm so sorry," she gasped, pressing a hand to her chest. "I didn't realize. I thought—" "What is your name?" he asked, cutting through her embarrassment. She hesitated, wariness replacing surprise. Smart girl. "Jenny," she finally said. "Jenny Patel." "Jenny," he repeated, tasting the name. "I'm Patrick. Look, I really am sorry about using your window like that. Don TB, it's refreshing to see something genuine in this part of town." The car behind them honked impatiently. "I have to go," Jenny said, backing away, "and I'm late for work." "Where do you work?" The question slipped out before he could stop himself. Jenny's eyes narrowed slightly. "Sunrise Diner, on 7th. With that, she turned and hurried away, leaving Patrick staring after her. Something about her, the wary intelligence in her eyes, the pride in her posture despite her obvious poverty, intrigued him in a way he couldn't explain. "Sir?" His driver's voice pulled him back to reality. "Go to the office," Patrick ordered, rolling up the window. His reflection stared back at him. Expensive suit, perfectly trimmed hair, cold eyes. The face of a man who had clawed his way up from nothing through brutal determination and even more brutal methods. A man who could have anything he wanted, including a waitress from the Sunrise Diner. "Order up for table 6. Jenny grabbed the plates, balancing them along her arms with practiced skill. The diner buzzed with the usual morning crowd, construction workers, office assistants, and neighborhood regulars seeking cheap coffee and hot food. "Thanks, Roy," she called to the cook as she swept past the kitchen window. Her mind kept drifting back to the encounter that morning. The man in the Bentley, Patrick, had unsettled her, not because he was threatening, but because of how he looked at her, like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Men like him didn't look twice at women like her. She knew his type, wealthy, powerful, dangerous. The expensive watch on his wrist probably cost more than she made in months. Coffee, please." A customer raised an empty mug. "Coming right up." Jenny smiled, grabbing the pot. When the bell above the door jingled, she didn't look up immediately. It wasn't a tea until the usual chatter dimmed that she turned. Patrick Thornfield stood in the entrance, scanning the diner until his eyes locked on hers. He wore a charcoal suit that screamed custom tailoring, the kind of outfit that made everyone else in the room look shabby by comparison. Jenny nearly dropped the coffee pot. He smiled, a slight curve of his lips that didn't quite reach his eyes, and took a seat at the counter. "You followed me," she said when she approached, keeping her voice low. "I came for breakfast," he replied smoothly. "Best place in town according to a reliable source." Jenny snorted. "This place serves greasy spoons breakfast for people who can afford better. Something tells me that not you." "Maybe I'm expanding my horizons." A throat cleared behind her. Her manager, Ted, hovered nearby with an ingratiating smile directed at Patrick. "Is everything all right over here?" Ted asked, shooting Jenny a warning look. "Perfect," Patrick answered. "I was just about to order." Ted nodded, pleased. "Jenny will take excellent care of you. Our best waitress." Once Ted retreated, Jenny placed a menu in front of Patrick. "What are you really doing here?" "Having breakfast with the most interesting woman I've met in ages." He didn't open the menu. "Join me." "I am working." "After then, when does your shift end?" Jenny stared at him, bewildered. "Look, I don't know what game you'd be playing." "No game." His expression turned serious. "Dinner tonight." "Why?" "Because I can't stop thinking about you using my car window as a mirror." Despite herself, Jenny felt heat rise to her cheeks. "That's ridiculous." "Well, probably." He shrugged. "But it is true." Jenny studied him. Everything about this man screamed danger. Not the obvious kind that made you run away, but the subtle kind that pulled you in before you realized you were drowning. "I don't date customers," she said finally. "I haven't ordered yet. Technically not a customer." A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. "Fine, one dinner, but somewhere public." "Smart." Patrick's eyes gleamed with approval. "I'll pick you up at 7. "I'll meet you there," Jenny countered. His smile widened. "Even smarter." As she turned to help another customer, Jenny caught sight of her reflection in the chrome coffee machine. What was she doing? Men like Patrick Thornfield didn't pursue waitresses without an agenda. She knew better than to get involved with someone so obviously out of her league. And yet, there was something in his eyes when he looked at her, a hunger that had nothing to do with power or money, a loneliness that mirrored her own. One dinner, she told herself. What harm could come from one dinner? Across town, in his penthouse office overlooking the city, Patrick Thornfield stared out the window, his mind still at the diner. For the first time in years, he felt something other than the cold calculation that had defined his existence. "Sir, the Cayman account numbers you requested." His assistant placed a folder on his desk. Patrick nodded absently, turning the folder over without opening it. "And, Mr. Vargas called again. He is getting impatient." That pulled Patrick's attention back. Vargas was not someone to keep waiting, even for someone with Patrick's resources. "Tell him we're moving forward as planned," Patrick said. "The shipment arrives tomorrow night." "Yes, sir." The assistant hesitated. "And, sir?" Detective Reeves was asking questions at the docks again. Patrick's jaw tightened. Detective Liam Reeves had been a thorn in his side for years, the one cop who couldn't be bought, intimidated, or fooled. "Handle it," Patrick ordered. "The usual way." As his assistant left, Patrick returned to the window. Somewhere down there, Jenny Patel was serving coffee, unaware that her life was about to collide with a world she couldn't imagine. A world of wealth and privilege built on a foundation of crime and corruption. A world that destroyed everything it touched. Patrick closed his eyes. For a brief moment that morning, when she smiled at her reflection, he glimpsed something pure, something real, something worth protecting, even from himself. The intercom buzzed. "Sir, your 2:00 is here." Patrick straightened his tie, burying thoughts of Jenny beneath the cold, calculating mask he'd perfected over the years. "Send him in." Tonight would be different. Tonight, he would be different. But first, business. The restaurant Patrick had chosen was neither ostentatious nor intimidating, a surprise that put Jenny slightly at ease. Still, she felt underdressed in her simple black dress, purchased years ago for a friend's wedding and reserved for special occasions. "You look beautiful," Patrick said as she approached his table. "You don't have to say that," Jenny replied, sliding into her seat. "I only say things I mean." His voice carried the weight of someone accustomed to having his words treated as law. A waiter appeared, pouring water and handing them menus bound in soft leather. Jenny glanced at the prices and nearly choked. "Problem?" Patrick asked, noticing her expression. "No," she lied, setting the menu down. "Everything looks delicious." Patrick studied her for a moment before turning to the waiter. "We'll have the chef's selection and a bottle of the Bordeaux." After the waiter departed, silence settled between them. Jenny fidgeted with her napkin. "Why did you agree to have dinner with me?" Patrick finally asked. The directness of his question caught her off guard. "Honestly, I'm not sure. Most people want something from me," he said. "Money, power, connections. I don't even know who you are." Patrick raised an eyebrow. "You haven't Googled me." "Should I have?" A smile tugged at his lips. "Patrick Thornfield, CEO of Thornfield Enterprises." Jenny shrugged. "Never heard of it." For a moment, Patrick looked genuinely surprised. Then he laughed, a warm, genuine sound that transformed his features from handsome to breathtaking. "Tell me about yourself, Jenny Patel," he said, leaning forward. "What brings you to the city?" "The usual story. Small-town girl moves to the big city with dreams bigger than her bank account." She twirled her water glass, still waiting for the dreams to materialize. "What dreams?" Jenny hesitated. She rarely shared her ambitions. They sounded foolish when spoken aloud. "I want to open a bakery. Nothing fancy, just somewhere people can get fresh bread and pastries made with care." "Why haven't you? Have you seen the cost of commercial real estate in this city?" She laughed ruefully. "Besides, banks don't exactly line up to loan money to waitresses with no collateral." Patrick's expression turned thoughtful. "Sometimes the right doors just need the right key." "Is that your way of offering to help? Because I don't accept charity." "Not charity, investment. There is a difference." The waiter returned with wine and appetizers, momentarily halting their conversation. Jenny used the interruption to study Patrick more closely. He moved with the fluid grace of a predator, every gesture precise and controlled. Yet there was something else beneath the polished exterior. A wariness, a tension, as if he were constantly assessing threats. "What about you?" she asked when they were alone again. "Were you born into all this, or did you claw your way up?" Something dark flashed in his eyes. "Definitely clawed. The Thornfield name wasn't always synonymous with wealth. And now? Now I have more money than I could spend in several lifetimes. Does it make you happy?" Patrick paused, wine glass halfway to his lips. What an unusual question. "Is it? Seems like the most important one." He set down his glass without drinking. Happiness was not the goal. Then what was? Security, power, never being at anyone else's mercy again. The intensity in his voice silenced her. For a moment, Jenny glimpsed the man beneath the expensive suit, someone shaped by pain and determination. "Your turn," Patrick said, his tone lightening. What makes Jenny Patel happy?" She smiled. "Simple things. Fresh bread just out of the oven. The first sip of coffee in the morning. Dancing to bad pop music when no one else watching. You're easy to please. I prefer to think I am hard to disappoint." Their meal progressed, conversation flowing more easily than Jenny had anticipated. Patrick was intelligent, well-read, and surprisingly funny when he let his guard down. By dessert, she'd almost forgotten the vast gulf that separated their worlds. Almost. As they stepped outside, reality reasserted itself in the form of a sleek black car waiting at the curb, a stone-faced driver holding the door open. "Let me drive you home," Patrick said. Jenny shook her head. "I told you I'll meet you, and I'll get myself home. It is late. I manage just fine every other night." Patrick frowned, then nodded. "At least let me call you a cab. The subway is 3 blocks away." "Jenny." His voice softened. "Please." Something in his tone made her relent. "Fine. A cab." As they waited, Patrick's phone vibrated. He checked it, his expression hardening instantly. Problem? Jenny asked. Just business. He tucked the phone away. Nothing that can wait. The cab arrived, and Patrick opened the door for her. Before she could slide in, he caught her hand. I'd like to see you again, he said. Jenny studied him. Why? Because you were the first person in years who made me think about happiness rather than power. The sincerity in his eyes made her breath catch. One more dinner, she agreed. But next time, I choose the place. His smile was worth the risk. The next morning, Detective Reeves stared at the surveillance photos spread across his desk. Patrick Thornfield, the city's most elusive criminal, dining with an unknown woman, laughing, looking for all the world, like a man on a genuine date rather than conducting business. Who is she? Liam asked his partner. Detective Maya Cruz shrugged. Working on it. Facial recognition came up empty. She is not one of his usual associates. Liam tapped the photo. Look at his body language. This is different. A new girlfriend? Thornfield doesn't have girlfriends. He has accomplices and conquests. Liam had spent years building a case against Patrick Thornfield. The man was meticulous, leaving no evidence, no witnesses, nothing that could directly tie him to the drugs, weapons, and human trafficking operations they knew he controlled. But everyone had a weakness. Everyone made mistakes. Find out who she is, Liam said. She might be our way in. Jenny hummed as she refilled coffee cups, earning curious looks from her co-workers. Someone in a good mood, Roy commented from the kitchen. Good night, sleep, she replied, avoiding his knowing gaze. Wouldn't it have anything to do with that fancy guy who came in yesterday? Jenny felt her cheeks warm. Maybe. Be careful, Jenny, guys like that. It was just dinner. She cut him off. No big deal. But it had been a big deal. For the first time since moving to the city, Jenny felt seen. Not as a waitress or a dreamer with impossible ambitions, but as herself. The bell over the door jingled. Jenny turned, half expecting to see Patrick. Instead, a woman in a crisp pantsuit entered, surveying the diner with sharp eyes before settling on Jenny. Jenny Patel? The woman asked, approaching the counter. Yes? The woman extended her hand. Detective Maya Cruz. I'd like to ask you a few questions about Patrick Thornfield. Jenny's stomach dropped. I barely know him. That is not what our surveillance photos suggest. Detective Cruz slid a folder across the counter. Inside were photos of her and Patrick at dinner the previous night. They looked intimate, engrossed in conversation. Are you investigating him? Jenny asked, pushing the folder away. We've been building a case for years. Mr. Thornfield isn't who you think he is. And who do I think he is? A successful businessman, a charming date. Detective Cruz leaned closer. But underneath, he's one of the most dangerous criminals in this city. Jenny's hands trembled slightly. What exactly are you accusing him of? Drug trafficking, money laundering, worse. Why are you telling me this? Because innocent people who get close to Patrick Thornfield tend to get hurt. Detective Cruz placed a card on the counter. When you're ready to talk, call me. After the detective left, Jenny stared at the card, her mind reeling. It couldn't be true. The man she'd spent hours talking with last night didn't seem capable of the crimes Detective Cruz had described. But hadn't she sensed something dangerous about him from the beginning? The diner door opened again. This time it was Patrick, dressed more casually than she had seen him before. Dark jeans and a grey sweater that somehow looked more expensive than any formal suit. "So you look like you've seen a ghost," he said when he reached her. Jenny forced a smile. "Just surprised to see you twice in 2 days." "I was in the neighborhood." He studied her face. "Everything okay?" She hesitated. "Patrick, what exactly does Thornfield Enterprises do?" Something flickered in his eyes. Caution, perhaps. "Real estate, primarily. Investment, development. Why?" "Just curious." Patrick didn't look convinced, but he didn't press. "So I thought I might steal you for lunch, if Ted can spare you." As if summoned, Ted appeared, all smiles for the wealthy customer. "Take an extra half hour, Jenny." "No problem at all." Outside, Patrick led her to a small park nearby. They purchased sandwiches from a street vendor and found a bench beneath flowering trees. For several minutes they ate in comfortable silence. Someone has been talking to you about me, Patrick finally said. Jenny stiffened. What makes you say that? Your questions, the way you were looking at me. He set down his sandwich. Let me guess, Detective Reeves? Or was it Cruz this time? You know them. They have been trying to build a case against me for years. Is there a case to build? Patrick's expression turned grim. The world isn't a black and white, Jenny. That's not an answer. It is the only one I can give right now. He reached for her hand, but she pulled away. I need more than that. Why, you barely know me. Exactly. And what little I do know is being called into question. Patrick was silent for a long moment. I came from nothing, he finally said. Grew up in foster care, no family, no connections, no one who cared if I lived or died. Jenny waited, sensing there was more. I made promises to myself as a child that I would never be powerless again, that I would build something no one could take from me. His voice hardened. I've done things I am not proud of, made choices most people would not understand. Criminal choices? His eyes met hers, unflinching. Yes. The simple admission stunned her. She'd expected denials, justifications. But that's not who I want to be anymore, Patrick continued. Meeting you. It has made me question things I haven't questioned in years. One chance encounter can to change a person. Can it? He leaned closer. Haven, that you ever had a moment that divided your life into before and after? Jenny thought of her own past, the losses, the struggles, the decisions that had shaped her path. Even if I believe you want to change, it doesn't erase what you've done. No, Patrick agreed, by a dozen tea. The honesty between them felt raw, dangerous, and strangely liberating. Jenny stood, needing distance to think clearly. I have to get back to work. Patrick nodded, respecting her retreat. Jenny, he caught her gaze, whatever they told you about me, most of it is probably true, but not all of it, and not anymore. As she walked away, Jenny felt torn between wisdom and desire. The smart choice was clear. Walk away, forget Patrick Thornfield, return to her simple, struggling existence. But when had her heart ever chosen the smart path? Patrick watched Jenny disappear into the diner, his mind racing. Reeves was moving faster than anticipated, already approaching Jenny. The detective was getting desperate, which made him dangerous. His phone vibrated. Vargas again. What? Patrick answered tersely. We have a problem. Vargas' accented voice was tense. The shipment was seized. Patrick's blood ran cold. How? Someone talked. The police were waiting. Find out who. Already did. Vargas paused. It was Keller. Sir Michael Keller, Patrick's head of security for the past 5 years. A man he trusted implicitly. Bring him to the warehouse, Patrick ordered. I will handle it personally. He ended the call, a familiar coldness settling over him. This was who he was, who he had been forced to become in a world that showed no mercy to the weak. Yet as he walked toward his waiting car, Jenny's words echoed in his mind. Does it make you happy? For the first time in his carefully constructed empire of power and fear, Patrick Thornfield found himself without an answer. The warehouse stood isolated near the abandoned docks, far from curious eyes and ears. Inside, Michael Keller knelt on the concrete floor, blood dripping from his split lip. 2 of Patrick's men stood nearby, waiting for orders. Why? Patrick asked, his voice eerily calm. Keller spat blood. Reeves has my daughter. You should have come to me. Or would you have helped? Or would you have silenced me to protect yourself? The accusation hung between them. Once the answer would have been obvious. Betrayal meant death, a simple equation that had kept Patrick's organization intact for years. Now he hesitated. Leave us, Patrick ordered his men. When they were alone, Patrick crouched before Keller. Tell me exactly what Reeves has on your daughter. Drug charges. Enough to put her away for years. Keller's voice broke. She is just a kid who made mistakes. Patrick stood pacing the empty warehouse. Options raced through his mind, none of them clean, none of them simple. Where is she now? Police holding. Patrick nodded, decision made. You were done. Take your family and leave the city. Tonight. Keller stared in disbelief. You were letting me go? With enough money to start over somewhere else? Patrick's expression hardened. But if I ever see you again, if you ever breathe a word about my operations, there won't be a second chance. After Keller was escorted away, Patrick remained in the empty warehouse, his world shifting beneath his feet. The mercy he'd shown was weakness by the standards he'd lived by for so long, yet it felt right in a way nothing had in years. His phone rang, an unknown number. Mr. Thornfield, a female voice he didn't recognize. This is Sunrise Diner. There's been an incident. Jenny Patel asked us to call you. Patrick's heart raced as he rushed to his car. What kind of incident? Some men came in. They were looking for her. Patrick's grip tightened on the phone. Is she hurt? No, but she's scared. She's in the back office. I am on my way. Tell her not to leave with anyone. Anyone. As his driver sped through the city streets, Patrick made another call. I need everything you can find on Detective Reeves, he ordered. Personal addresses, family information, financial records, everything. If Reeves wanted to use Jenny to get to him, the detective was about to learn a painful lesson about crossing lines. But first, Patrick had to make sure Jenny was safe, even if that meant revealing the full truth about who he was and the danger he'd brought into her life. The car screeched to a halt outside the diner. Patrick was out before it fully stopped, bursting through the doors with a fury that silenced the few remaining customers. Where is she? He demanded. Ted pointed toward the back. Patrick found Jenny in a small office, her face pale but composed. Are you okay? He asked, rushing to her side. I am fine. Her voice was steady despite her pallor. They weren't a tea subtle about asking questions. Said they were friends of yours who needed to find you urgently. Sir Patrick's jaw clenched. What did they look like? One had a scar across his cheek. The other wore an expensive watch, gold, flashy. Vargas' men, looking for him after the shipment was seized. This was escalating faster than he had anticipated. We need to get you somewhere safe, Patrick said, already forming a plan. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what's happening. Jenny crossed her arms. Those men weren't a tea police. Who are they? Patrick ran a hand through his hair. Business associates with questionable methods. More criminals, you mean? Her voice was tight with anger and fear. This is because of you. Yes, there was no point denying it. And I am sorry. Jenny stood, grabbing her bag. I should have listened to Detective Reeves. Detective Reeves is right about many things, but she can to protect you from these people. I can. Why should I trust you? So because despite everything, I've never lied to you. Patrick held her gaze. And because right now I am your best option. Jenny hesitated, weighing her limited choices. Finally, she nodded. Where would we go? I have a place, off the grid. We'll be safe there until I sort this out. As they left through the back door, Patrick could not shake the feeling that everything was unraveling. His carefully constructed empire, his control, his plans. All because he'd stopped for a red light and seen a beautiful woman using his car window as a mirror. The irony wasn't he lost on him. For years he'd avoided attachments precisely because they created vulnerabilities. Now, watching Jenny climb into his car, he realized she had become both his greatest weakness and his strongest motivation to change. His phone buzzed with a message as they pulled away from the diner. Reeves knows about the warehouse incident. Moving against you tonight. Patrick deleted the message, his mind racing through contingencies. Time was running out, for his business, for his freedom, perhaps for his life. But for the first time, those weren't at his primary concerns. The woman beside him was. What happens now? Jenny asked, her voice small in the luxurious interior of the car. Now, Patrick said, I fix what I've broken, starting with keeping you safe. What he didn't say was how much he might have to break in the process, including possibly himself. The cabin nestled among towering pines, far from the city's reach. Built of weathered logs and stone, it looked like it had grown naturally from the forest floor. Inside, rustic furnishings belied the sophisticated security system Patrick had installed. "You won't find this place on any map," Patrick said as he secured the door behind them, "or connected to my name in any way." Jenny moved cautiously through the main room, taking in the stone fireplace, comfortable furniture, and well-stocked kitchen. "You come here often?" "Only when I need to disappear." "And how often is that?" Patrick's smile was grim. "More often than I'd like." As night fell, they settled into an uneasy coexistence. Patrick worked from a laptop, occasionally making hushed phone calls while pacing the back porch. Jenny tried not to listen, but fragments reached her. Contingency plans, asset transfers, secure locations, the language of a man preparing for war or escape. "You should sleep," Patrick said, returning from his latest call. "The bedroom through there. I'll take the couch." Jenny hadn't moved from her position by the fireplace in hours. "I am not tired." Patrick sighed, dropping into a chair across from her. For a moment, the carefully maintained control slipped, revealing bone-deep exhaustion. "Ask," he said, "whatever you want to know." Jenny studied him in the firelight. "How did you get into this life?" "Gradually." Patrick's gaze turned distant. "It starts small, a favor here, a blind eye there. You tell yourself it is just to get ahead, just until you re-established. Then one day you realize there is no clean exit. There was always a way out, and not without consequences." His voice hardened. "The kinds of people I've dealt with don't accept resignations." "Like Vargas?" Patrick's surprise was evident. "You heard that name? On your phone calls. Who is he?" "Someone very dangerous. Someone I made a deal with years ago when I thought power was the only currency that mattered." Jenny leaned forward. "And now?" "Now I know better." Patrick's eyes met hers, intense and clear. "But unmaking those choices isn't as simple. Nothing worthwhile ever is." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "When did you get so wise?" "Around the same time you got so honest." Jenny hesitated. "What happens tomorrow?" "I meet with Reeves." "The detective?" Patrick nodded. "He's been building a case against me for years. I'm going to give him what he wants." "Which is?" "Evidence, names, everything he needs to take down Vargas' entire operation." Jenny stared in disbelief. "You turn informant?" "I'd rather be a live witness than a dead criminal." His expression was resolute. "I've moved enough money to disappear comfortably, start over somewhere else." "Just like that? Walk away from everything you've built?" "What I've built is a prison, Jenny. Gold-plated, but still a prison." The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken questions. Finally, Jenny asked the one that mattered most. "Where does that leave us?" Patrick's gaze softened. "That depends on you." "On me?" "I am offering you a choice, one I should have given you from the beginning." He leaned forward. "Come with me. We will go somewhere new. Somewhere I am not Patrick Thornfield, and you are not the waitress who used my car window as a mirror. Just two people starting fresh." Jenny's heart raced. "What is the alternative? After tomorrow, you go back to your life, safe, free of all this." He gestured vaguely, encompassing himself and the complicated web he'd woven. "Free of me. That is not much of a choice. It is the only one I can offer that lets you decide your own path." Jenny stood, needing movement to process the enormity of what he was suggesting. "You're asking me to leave everything behind. My friends, my job." "Your dreams," Patrick finished softly. "I know." "For what?" "To go on the run with a man I barely know." "Not on the run, protected, new identities, a new start. Because of decisions you made long before you met me." Patrick didn't deny it. "Yes." Jenny shook her head. "This is insane." "Probably. I need time to think." "We have until morning," Patrick said. "After that, things will move quickly." As she retreated to the bedroom, Jenny felt torn between logic and emotion. Everything reasonable told her to walk away, to return to her simple life and forget Patrick Thornfield had ever entered it. But her heart whispered a different truth. In the brief time she'd known him, something fundamental had shifted within her. The safe path suddenly seemed hollow, a life half-lived. Morning came too soon. Jenny emerged from the bedroom to find Patrick dressed in a simple suit, his expression set in lines of grim determination. "Have you decided?" he asked, not turning from the window where he stood watching the sunrise. "Yes." Jenny took a deep breath. "But first I need you to promise me something." "Anything. No more lies, no more half-truths. Whatever happens from here, we face it with complete honesty." Patrick turned, searching her face. "And I promise, then I am coming with you." The words felt right as they left her lips. "So not because I am running away from my life, but because I want to see who we could be without all this between us." Relief and something deeper washed over Patrick's features. He crossed the room, taking her hands in his. "I don't deserve this chance," he said quietly. "Probably not," Jenny agreed with a small smile. "But you were getting it anyway." So Detective Reeves waited at the designated meeting spot, a public park bench with clear sightlines in all directions. When Patrick Thornfield appeared, walking calmly across the grass, as if attending a business lunch rather than a clandestine meeting with law enforcement, Reeves felt a grudging respect. "You came alone," Patrick observed, settling beside him. As agreed. Reeves studied the man he'd pursued for years. "Though my partner has backup station nearby." Patrick nodded, unsurprised. "I brought what you need." He placed a thumb drive on the bench between them. "Everything. Shipping routes, bank accounts, contacts. Enough to dismantle Vargas' entire operation." Reeves made no move to take it. "Why now?" "Let us just say my priorities have shifted." "The woman, Jenny Patel." Patrick's expression remained neutral. "She is not part of this discussion. She became part of it the moment you pulled her into your world." Reeves leaned closer. "Is she safe?" A flicker of surprise crossed Patrick's face. "Yes. Keep her that way." Reeves finally took the thumb drive. "What do you want in return?" "Time. 48 hours before you move on this information." "To disappear." Patrick didn't confirm or deny. "Do we have a deal?" Reeves considered the man beside him, a criminal who had evaded justice for years, now voluntarily providing the case of a lifetime. "What about your own crimes?" "Also documented. I'm not asking for immunity." "Then what are you asking for?" Patrick stood. "A chance to become someone else, someone better." As he walked away, Reeves called after him, "Thornfield, people like you don't change." Patrick paused, looking back with a faint smile. "Watch me." The beachfront property stood isolated on a stretch of pristine coastline, white stucco walls gleaming in the tropical sun. Palm trees swayed in the gentle breeze as waves lapped at the shore just steps from the back patio. Inside, Jenny kneaded dough on a marble countertop, flour dusting her cheeks. The kitchen smelled of vanilla and cinnamon, the signature scent of her small but thriving bakery in the nearby town. "Still planning to change the menu?" Patrick asked, entering with an armload of fresh groceries. "Just seasonal adjustments." Jenny smiled as he leaned in for a flour-dusted kiss. "Saz, how was your meeting?" "Productive. The youth centre's expansion is fully funded." Jenny's eyes softened. They were lucky to have such a generous benefactor. "Anonymous benefactor," Patrick corrected, setting down the groceries. As always, it had been this way for years now, building a quiet life in this peaceful coastal town under new names, with Patrick discreetly using portions of his hidden fortune to support community projects, education initiatives, and small business grants. Redemption, one good deed at a time. "Any word from home?" Jenny asked, shaping the dough into loaves. Reeves sent an update. Patrick's expression turned serious. Vargas' appeal was denied. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison. "Good." Jenny's voice held no uncertainty. "And the others?" "Most of the network is still behind bars. A few fled the country." Patrick leaned against the counter. The detective also mentioned that Sunrise Diner closed last month. New development going in. A shadow of nostalgia crossed Jenny's face. "All things change, I suppose." "Do you ever regret it?" Patrick asked quietly. "Leaving everything behind?" Jenny considered the question as she had many times over the years. I miss parts of my old life, but I don't regret choosing this one." She gestured around them, at the beautiful home, the successful bakery, the life they built together. A life where Patrick Alexander, consultant and philanthropist, bore little resemblance to Patrick Thornfield, criminal mastermind. Where Jenny Alexander, baker and business owner, had fulfilled dreams Jenny Patel could only imagine. Besides, she added with a mischievous smile, how many love stories begin with a woman using a stranger's car window to adjust her bra? Patrick laughed, pulling her into his arms, despite the flour that transferred to his shirt. "Only ours." "Only ours," she agreed. Outside, waves continued their eternal rhythm against the shore. Birds called in the palm trees. And inside, two people who had once lived worlds apart continued writing their improbable story. One day, one choice, one moment of redemption at a time. Not perfect, not without shadows from the past, but real and theirs, and more than either, had dared to hope for on that fateful morning when their reflections first intertwined. Wow, I told you that ending would be unexpected. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up and share your reactions in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to Hearts of Crime for more captivating stories, just like this one every single day. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another incredible tale of love in the criminal underworld. Thank you for watching until the end. May God bless you and your family, and I'll see you in the next video.